Yeah.
Oh man, dude.
Oh,
We're back.
Lord.
BSideShow.net. Hey, see that one of our guests that we had on the show recently brought up something like that, talking about when you make it like to show sort of like festival atmosphere. It's almost the trendy thing to say is they just want to say they were there. Like they might not know what's going on, who the artists are, and all that, but it's almost like how when hip hop started being used on commercials and stuff like that. Like it would be a whack rapper trying to imitate rap. And on one hand, you could look at it like, oh man, that's sold out shit. It's fake, but it is taking the culture and the music to a place where they might not know about it as much. Just like if that casual fan goes to a festival, they might not know what's going on, but they will be exposed to some music
still
that they might
them.
like. Yeah, that they might like. So it's
I mean, it's a strong point. I mean, what I was just gonna ask you guys. I mean, you were at the Cypher Effect live show.
Yeah.
I mean, is there like say something like that continued on and on into the future? Would we be there one day and go like, oh, it's man, Cypher Effect Live changed, man. Like,
well, yes,
like
absolutely.
There's a bunch of people on the radio now, and like, right? That's gonna happen.
We were just talking about this while the video was playing. Like Wackoe, you were saying same thing at EDC, like with the electronic music scene, and same thing with Rock the Bells. Like a lot of these kids that I'm looking at, they look the exact same as like a lot of the kids that I saw at EDC. Yeah. And there's almost like this sense of once something goes over a hump of a certain amount of fans and a certain amount of attention in the media, there's like this giant flood of like sheep that come in, you know, like they like it's like a stampede of sheep, and you're kind of seeing that right now, and you can see a little bit of a beginning of that happening at the Cypher Effect event. There was definitely like a handful of people I saw that I'm like, you're not even actually into this. You're just here because
it's an
everybody
event.
else came to.
Yeah,
it's an event.
But I mean, we can't avoid it though, right?
They're the ones that pay the bills.
Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say, because
that's what I'm saying.
It's a business when you think about
like
it. It's a business, you know.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I can understand both sides, but yeah, at the same time, it's like, but you're bringing it to people that might not have heard it before.
Yeah,
and at the same time, like you said, especially for events, man, someone's got to buy the tickets.
But what I see though,
the beer, the food, whatever.
But what I see though, like for instance, Rock the Bells, they took a massive this year, lost like so much money, like
yeah, they had to shut down 2 shows.
Yeah,
right?
they shut down the East Coast.
Yeah.
Right?
Why is that? What happened?
Not enough
sales. People going. The ticket sales is obviously and
all
stuff
the
like
pre-sale
that.
was so low that they had to cancel.
Why do you guys think that happened?
It has to do with my opinion, and from what I was talking with the people actually in the camp, it's what people are saying is the bill and the pricing.
For sure.
And it definitely the massiveness of the stages.
I think what they tried to do to get more people to buy the tickets is what backfired on them and caused the ticket sales to plummet. Because all the people who were buying tickets in the first place were like, why the heck is this dude's name on the bottom?
Right.
Why is it this small?
Yeah, when we know the underground, he should be up here.
Up here, you know, with big bold letters.
Yeah, they didn't even break even for the LA show. Well, they say LA show, but it was in San Francisco.
Yeah.
They didn't even break even there. And they did somewhat well over in San Francisco, because San Francisco, they're kind of more of that festive city anyways.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you, everybody here. Do you guys think that Rock the Bells, right? Let's just take Rock the Bells. And here's the thing. We're all fans of what they've done for hip-hop. I still continue to believe that they're a very important part of what's going on. But do the core people, or better yet, the powers that be that allow the event to go on, do they have their fingers on the pulse of what's happening right now? Or is it what they kind of think is happening? Because you guys know the difference. There's people that we know that should be headlining those events. And it's not that just a few people know them. Everybody in the independent scene knows them. And they sell, and they're active, and they're doing shows, and they're out there all the time. And then we go there, and nothing against that Girl Talk, who's a DJ. Nothing against Girl Talk, but Girl Talk should not be.
That was Coachella.
Girl Talk was headlining.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he was one of the headliners.
Put it this way, What's his name?
And if people who don't know Girl Talk, he's a person he's a DJ who spins mashups.
Yeah.
He doesn't spin. It's two laptops.
And by the way, he's fucking amazing.
No,
and he's super dope.
That was a Coachella person, right?
Yeah, there's a time and a place for it.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And it was just crazy. Oh, what's his name? I have a brain fart, dude. I can't believe it.
That's what the smell is.
With an A. Where's Fedora and shit?
Where's a fedora?
Yeah.
Afrojack?
No. Yeah.
D-Waves?
Big the Brick Jacob?
DC, DMC Champ. Oh my god, I have a brain fart. He was at Rock the Bells too. Anyway, he was at Rock the Bells too.
Babu!
He was only like
Fedora.
Yeah,
Hulk Hogan?
Junkie?
He was only no. This is
Charlie Sheen.
duck sauce and shit.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Anyways,
what's your statement that you'd like to make?
My statement was saying that he was only playing to 40 people.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just like, what?
Wasn't Girl Talk on the main stage, I think, right?
No, he was on the same stage as this
Oh,
guy.
how many people
They
played?
had 3 stages going on.
How many did he play to?
Like, about the same amount. It wasn't really that many people
Yeah.
at all.
Well, this is interesting. I think what's happening is that we're looking at specifically the independent styles of music and the culture, but in reality what's happened is that the festival scene has gotten really big in the United States. And it just happens to be like right now, I think that they're jumping on the same thing, like the EDM festivals have gotten big, the Coachella style festivals. There's like a shit ton of festivals that look a lot like the Burning Man crowd, even though they're not really Burning Man or like the Burners. So like really that's what's happening. I think that's why Rock the Bells was trying to get that going to get bigger so they can compete with like Coachella.
Yeah, but and here's the thing, we know this, right? From growing up in hip hop, that has failed every time they try to do it.
Yeah.
Because there's something about hip hop that simply does not want to be completely understood or taken in by everybody. Because at the end of the day, hip hop does represent a struggle. It is struggle music at the end of the day.
Yeah,
Even though like you have like artists like Macklemore, right? Macklemore came from the Seattle Underground. Sorry, he fucking blew up. It's his bad. But the reality is, even his music on every level. Even what is it? Same Love. It's struggle music. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So that music can't really be understood by people who've never experienced
Are you
struggle.
saying hip hop is got a fear of success?
Well, no. Talk about what you said about Jay-Z.
What about him?
Remember you were talking about the kind of music he makes now doesn't appeal to...
No, he's... I mean, Jay-Z's amazing, but he's not connected to his audience anymore, or the audience that at least put him there. Now a lot of his audience are these guys that you were just looking in the video that were like pretending to know a lot about hip-hop, but they actually don't.
Right.
And I mean,
or other rich people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What could Jay-Z talk about right now that could appeal to, say, like the fans of like who's an artist that's been on your show?
We don't have
anyone.
We've hardly had anybody on our show. I don't.
They've never had.
How could Jay-Z appeal to like Self-Provoke's audience?
He can't.
No,
right?
Can't.
He just can't because he's talking about how much shit, but and then the things that he can do, these kids can't relate to that. And then he, by the way, on top of all of that, he's telling you, "Give me more money." You know what I mean? Buy my CD.
There's a sense of something that's missing too, which is the element of giving back.
Yes.
It's not that he can't relate to that audience. I think it's that he really chooses not to. He's in a place right now where it's not like that next album is gonna make or break his career, so to speak. You know what I mean?
He's not hungry.
He's not. There's always somebody like, if you ever watch his interviews, I mean, that people love listening to him talk. I mean, you could just listen to the dude for all he's very intelligent.
Sure, super intelligent.
Guys like 50 Cent, you know, but 50 Cent's records are not going to appeal to, Self-Provoked's audience right now in this current moment. And I think the best thing these guys could really start rapping about is I don't know, kicking down some kind of knowledge, coming up knowledge.
Yeah.
Well, that's the only thing left that you have to offer now. You don't have any more struggle.
You can only make it rain so many times.
Yeah. Well, do you think he's not doing that though? Because I mean, I feel like the Make It Rain music, he pretty much did that on Watch the Throne, and it was like that was a concept album.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like he's trying to do that, trying to kick down the knowledge. But
no, I can tell you this. I think
I don't think it's. I think he's in a tough situation because the world he lives in now. What's he gonna do? Like step backwards and reconnect?
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. But here's the reality of it: is like take boxing for instance, right? Oscar De La Hoya. When did Oscar De La Hoya start to suck? As soon as he got rich. Because you know why? It sucks to fucking get up at 6 a.m. in the morning and go running so that you can fight to make some money that you don't really need because you're already rich. It's just another paycheck. It's hard to train for something like that. And I think like with Jay-Z's album, this current album was the first time that we, and which to me was a beautiful thing, by the way. It wasn't a negative thing. But we got to see hip-hop age. Like, wow, we've had an artist who's been around so long now that they are starting to get to the tail end of that skill level.
You know what, though,
there's kids out right now that have skill level it's remarkable. It's remarkable. And there's going to be someone who's just as dope as Jay-Z. They're coming.
From a fan's perspective, I would think, too, from a fan that maybe like knows a little more, that's seen all the different things that have gone on. The thing about Jay-Z, we can say that kind of stuff about him, and he's filthy rich, he's got a beautiful wife, all that stuff. But the thing is that he still has the aspect of the aspect of hip hop where he flips styles. He'll change it up. He'll do a repetitive. He'll do a doubles. He'll do a fast like type of verse to songs. He kicks styles like.
But does Velda Wonders fans care about Manolos? No, right?
No.
So when he says you were wearing Manolos
that's my point though. Right now though, it might not be, but still as a hip hop fan, you might not know what Manolos are, but you're still digging the way he's going.
Oh yeah, his skill level is not.
That's what I mean.
It's not up for question.
Wait,
right?
What are Manolos?
I think there's some some expensive shoes. So, trust me, you can't afford it.
Yeah. Hey, but you know what? One thing
I thought it was Scarface's home.
Hey, bro.
No, that's Manny.
Hey, well, you gotta. The way I see it, man. Actually, it was funny that you guys even brought up his name because I had to stop at Jay-Z. I just had to stop at the market real quick before I came over here, and I'm standing in the aisles and I look over the Gossip magazines, and right there in Vanity, who was right there is Jay-Z. They did an article. Yeah, they did an article on him. But I'm tripping out, and it dawned on me. I was like, man, this guy's on this, and this guy's on Forbes magazine. Wow, that's crazy. A fucking drug dealer fucking just took over the fucking world.
Yeah, that's real though.
Yeah.
That's
real career.
That was like,
that was.
Did you ever see that thing where he was on a show for both of their styles of hustle and where they've come, but Warren Buffett.
Yeah. They're actually, I guess, they're personal friends.
They are, but the show was really interesting. Yeah, dude, and it was going.
Was there a show on HBO where they matched like two people from very different lifestyles, but who were also iconoclasts?
No, I haven't seen that.
I haven't seen that one.
No, I'm curious on that. That sounds weird.
It was not. That one had like Richard Branson hang out with Desmond Tutu for like a weekend, like to see what it was like. All kinds of shit like that.
Yeah, I know Jay-Z. And, I know they're friends.
Yeah, they did a show and they were interviewing them, and you just get the different perspectives from where they hustle. Like Warren Buffett came at it more as of taking risks and the stuff that he invested in, and then he believed in it and philosophies and stuff like that. And then Jay-Z had more of the perspective of. I mean, it was actually the same.
It was the same philosophy. It's just one street, and the other was more.
That's what I meant.
Business.
The philosophies were the same, taking risks and everything. He just came from this different place.
Yeah.
But it was really interesting.
But let's talk about that. Is there like a universal? I mean, we see people like within our scene, right, that start to gain success, and then you see. I mean, we've all seen the YouTube comments or the Twitters. I mean, a lot of these young cats get attacked like crazy. Like, I hope you die, or I like this artist and I hate that artist. So fuck you because this artist is. I mean, and it's crazy,
boil
right?
Your cat.
Right. But
welcome to hip hop.
Yeah. I mean, but that happens though, right? Like we know that happens, and that there's fans that are that invested in these artists. But do you think that like say like I don't know, like again, like name somebody who's been on your show. like an artist that's
We
or
haven't
Pause
had
One.
too many people.
Pause One's a
One.
perfect example, right?
Right.
Pause is a guy that we know who's worked at this for a minute. He's put in a lot of time, and he's only as of recent started to get like kind of his just due. That's a very frustrating fucking thing, right? Like when you're trying to come up as an artist and you know, like, okay, wait a minute, I know I'm not whack. I know the quality of my stuff is a certain level. Why am I not like getting that connection?
It's simple, very simple, and I've discussed this with him, and he came on the show, and he admitted the same way he was trying to do. It's because what it is we're in a world of marketing and branding, and if you cannot brand yourself and implement it in someone's head and just burn it in that shit, you're not gonna get to where you feel as though you deserve to be at. Because it's about branding yourself. What you guys are doing, you branded the Crappy Awesome and shit. You know what you present and stuff and how you market and push it. Same thing with us. You look at that, it's like BSideShow, and just by looking at that there, which is a basic font, says a story, and it tells people what it has. It means something, and I think that's what it is. And what he's starting to do now, you know, he's starting to get into that point where he's branding himself and he's trying to reach out and kind of bites his tongue once in a while, and then he knows where to let it loose and how to let it loose so that we can bring attention to himself. So it's all about marketing and branding. That's how this industry works, whether it's music, just entertainment, period.
I mean, so like,
do you agree with me as far as, because you're PR, correct? Am I mistaken? I mean, do you see that? I mean, it's about, as a PR, your objective is to go out there to push this artist, and whatever it is, bad or good, it sells, correct? You need to be something, right? Yeah.
Right. She's saying you can't just be a rapper.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, so but do you guys think, like, because the artists that we see, like, again, they get these comments, and especially the ones who start to gain a lot of success, right? We've seen people who kind of blown up out of the scene, and like we said, Reverie's in Europe. Reverie gets hated on because of her success, because when you start to analyze a lot of stuff, there's nothing really else. What can you blame her for? What is she doing?
Like, it makes me feel old and fat.
Yeah. Fuck her.
But I'm saying, so that being said, do you think that it's just the misunderstanding of the fan who doesn't truly understand that is what we're seeing from Reverie? None of us are surprised. We know that's the path you go. That's how you go. And guess what? She's going to be on a major tour one day, and she's going to be huge, and people are going to be like, "Oh, she's sold out of the underground."
Look what Noah did.
Yeah, look at that. Exactly.
I think more importantly, it's for people like that to not be distracted by people who can't really open their eyes to the fact to see that once you start trying to make money with this art, it becomes a business.
Yes.
And you know,
there's
like
rules.
for the past 6 years, I've had 3 different jobs in advertising. You have no idea how much that stuff can really make or break your company. There's like these really, really, really touchy fine lines that you kind of have to like know, and you have to walk along.
Can you give us an example?
Okay, for example, Lindbergh was the first. Lindbergh was Charles Lindbergh.
Like the Lindbergh baby?
The Lindbergh baby.
Yes, like Charles Lindbergh.
Yes.
Okay.
Charles Lindbergh. Yeah. Okay. Who flew across the Atlantic Ocean?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So he was the first. He was the first person.
American, man, I know that.
He was the first
He's
person.
looking at me like, "Hey, it's cool, man. We know what he's talking about."
Right? Okay. He was the first person to fly across the Atlantic Ocean, right? Now, the second person who flew over, I don't remember his name, but he did it in a shorter amount of time. He was a better pilot. You know, he was better trained. He was smarter. He was just everything you could imagine. Better than Lindbergh, right? Now, when you ask anybody, you know, who was the person who's the first person you think of, you know, to fly across the Atlantic Ocean? You think Lindbergh. Okay, but then you have different laws that affect that. What if rapping is like flying across the Atlantic Ocean, right?
Yeah.
What if you want to do that and you don't want to be like the second guy? Even though you're better than Lindbergh, he's already got his name on the map. He's already got his name in the newspaper. Right. How do you compete with him?
Yeah.
Well, you create
your own
category
within that.
Yeah. Like Amelia Earhart. Her flight across the Atlantic Ocean, okay, it's heroic, but she sucked. But because she created that new lane for herself and she pushed that, now a lot of people will think of her before they think of Lindbergh.
Yeah.
You know?
So what's the advice to like the artist right now that's trying to blaze their own path? Like what kind of advice would you give them based on that?
Well, you know, the thing is, you're not gonna be Jay-Z. You're not gonna be Earhart. You know, you're not gonna be Lindbergh. You're not gonna be these, so to speak, names. You're not gonna be 50 Cent. You're gonna be you. So you need to figure out how are you gonna approach somebody in a way that's gonna get them to remember you. You know, how did we remember Kendrick Lamar before he got famous? Honestly, one of the songs that's Rigor Mortis was that to me. I was like, this unmistakably, this guy he's dope. He's not like anybody else.
It's always funny to me that people think that he wasn't like branded or marketed. Like people think that, like, oh, dude, he just came out of nowhere. And no, everybody in the industry, we all knew what was behind Kendrick, and that was a long time in the making. That was a plan perfectly executed, and the reason it seems so natural is because it was a good fucking plan. That's what a good plan looks like. You can't tell that it's a plan.
Can you break it down in like one or two sentences what his plan was that was different than the average plan?
Well, Kendrick?
Yeah.
Kendrick knew, like, here's the thing. The marketing people behind Kendrick knew that they know this. They watched the scene, and so do we. Everybody within the scene knows that it goes in phases. That's a real thing. I know because we all keep referencing that, right? That things come full circle. All that. That's not a just something magical. It's an actual theory that has actually been put to test many times. Is what we do. It's how people react. People who are good marketers study that. They have to study the patterns of people. They knew that the West Coast was reaching a point that the Drakes and Lil Waynes and all that were no longer speaking for us. The population had changed. The search for enlightenment has started to boost up. Dude, we talked to Classy, 16-year-old artist on our show. Classy's on the search for enlightenment and conscious of it. Like literally reading and trying to expand her minds on levels that before you wouldn't even start thinking about that until like your college years or well into your life. So it's moving so much quicker now.
The new generation's more aware of having to be aware.
Like right.
Awareness and intellectual enlightenment.
Right, and that goes into their marketing.
Yeah. A lot of this stuff with success is really just common sense stuff. I mean, like, so of course you go and you get into marketing. I mean, there's tons of stuff that, you know, I studied on in school and different things, and you use in work. There's like these 22 laws of marketing, and they all just get so in depth. You could talk for hours about each one of these things, and then for you, I have a beard now. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It goes on and on and on.
So do you think that scares kids? Like I mean, you're saying a lot right now. Like for a young kid to look at that, do you think?
I think what it really comes down to, if you can't get some of the first basic, you know, common sense things down, you don't even need to worry about the rest of that stuff. That's why you would hire somebody like a PR person who knows this kind of stuff for you, right? But if you're trying to do everything independently and that's not an option for you, you got to get some of the few basic things down first, okay? I met a really successful person. This guy's name is Joe Roth. I had the pleasure of meeting him. He owns a soccer team. He owns a very prominent, you know, studio in Hollywood called Revolution Studios. He made like Alice in Wonderland and all kinds of stuff. And this dude is so smart, it's unbelievable. But he told me there's a few things that you have to do if you want to be successful. One is you got to remember people's names. You know, there are different things. Like you meet somebody, you're doing business with them, you got to remember his name.
You know, fucked already. Terrible with names.
And so I'm awful at that, but I try to make an effort, you know.
Hey, where are you guys again?
I literally forgot who I was a second ago.
You know, and then different things. Show up on time. If you got you know, you got working on a project and you wanna go, you know, play a couple new singles, and you got some hot rhymes, you wanna go out, okay? You gotta show up on time to the gig. You gotta be there when you're supposed to be there. You know, if you can't do some of these basic things, common sense, no-brainer stuff,
you won't
like forget about it.
Yeah.
You know?
But I mean, again, we deal with artists all the time. Like, it's part of what we do. You know for a fact that we know some artists who don't understand that. In fact, they'll say, no, that's wrong. Look at my numbers, right? Because here's the thing. We've also talked about numbers as a measure of success. There's also a limit to that success.
And that's what I was gonna ask, because I had a conversation. I had a conversation with everyone. I talked about this on your guys' show out actually. Too.
Yeah.
And I told her, I go, hey man, I see your success, what you're doing and stuff. And this was at the first Mind Clouder. And I basically, said, hey, I'm gonna ask you a question, man. Hope you don't get offended by it though, but I just want to ask you this question. When you get to a certain point to where your audience gets older and they start having kids and stuff, do you actually know where you're gonna be at? Do you have that plan yet? And she thought, she was like, no. I go, do you know what you want to do in this music industry? Because a lot of people can get to a certain point. I've told her, I've seen a lot of people be very successful, and then next thing you know, it's just like
they relax into the success.
Right.
They think it's enough.
Whether they relax into it or they just, the scene changed and their adaptation didn't work. So I said, what do you plan on doing? Where are you at? And that's when she had talked about this on the interview, like she likes to ghostwrite. So she says, I would love to do ghostwriting because I just like to write. I love writing. I go, well, no, that's cool. So you got to have that plan though, and especially those cats, like they're having their success now, but when two things, it's just my opinion, when the success comes to a point to where like, okay, I'm gonna have to hire someone taking over this because I can't handle this no more. Because if they try to do it themselves, it's just gonna be a plane going down and crashing, and that's where someone such as yourself comes into play.
That's where it ties in again with, like, even we mentioned Jay-Z, is that I think that's the difference between the artists that stay relevant, is he stays like in the know, like he knows what's going on. He knows what all the new trends are, even though he is like early 40s, whatever it is. He knows all the new trends, and whether he say a line or come up with a beat that they relate to, and a certain beat makes them listen to it, he knows that line between not just targeting his audience, his core audience, but to get the newcomers as well. And that's why business ties in, and that's why it's a thin line too, is because you still have to seem kind of real to your followers or your people.
That's the thing
too.
with Jay-Z. We were talking about that, is what you're describing, like his craftsmanship is impeccable.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you can't listen to a Jay-Z song and be like, it wasn't well written, it wasn't well produced, it wasn't I mean, none of that. You can't say that. But you listen to it though, and I feel like a lot of what's happening is that this newer generation is like, I don't connect with anything you're telling me. What you're telling me is beautiful. You've painted the most beautiful canvas I've ever seen, but that's some part of the universe I've never been there. Yeah, I'm never going to be able to go there.
Yeah.
That's if they're actually paying attention though.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I don't know what the percentage of that is really.
Yeah, that's probably true. I mean, he is at a level where he has enough of the sheeple following through.
Right.
Exactly. They're just saying it's Jay-Z. Beat sounds dope. Yeah. I just like how he's spitting, but I actually listen to what he's saying.
Yeah, and I think when you reach a level of success like Jay-Z, if you think about it, a large amount of your art is simply used for the background of people's like an environment somebody's trying to create, right? Whereas like a Reverie's music a lot of times is used as the soundtrack to people's lives. Yeah, like there's kids that are listening to it and they're like, dude, I feel this. I mean, you see the tweets. These kids reach out to them and they're like, dude, I was thinking these, to hurting myself, and I listened to this song and I stopped.
I've actually seen.
I know, I've seen it too.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't think Jay-Z's getting that, right?
I know, like it's so funny. Like as artists, we're all like striving.
For sure.
That's where it should be.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what I'm saying.
That's the reality.
We're all striving to get to a level where we'll just be playing in the background.
That's why they do what they do.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? We were talking about Jay-Z though, but we're forgetting about another individual that and actually what he's doing right now, and I have to tip my hat to this man. What he's doing is P. Diddy. Revolt TV. This motherfucker is doing. Have you looked into it?
Yeah.
That's just fucking dope. Basically, he's bringing just like the music back, and he's offering opportunities for people to contribute to this shit. You can only get it on Time Warner right now and Comcast. I mean, he's posting up like, yo, drop your cable network and get Time Warner. And people are doing that shit so they can just watch it like on TV. It's like what MTV used to be about the music videos, and it's not one specific genre.
Wait,
it's
I have the option to do that?
Oh wait, and you
drop my cable network.
Isn't Ski's doing that too, right? DJ Ski with Ski TV. He just got
with Access Live.
Yeah.
And they took over another channel that used to be on, and they took over some of the shows, and then they added all the other shows and stuff like that. Yeah, they're doing the same thing. But I think they're more just shows like a channel itself. His network is pretty much like the industry, what like the music used to be, like where you used to go see videos and see the new videos, and it's just, or like the interviews such as what we're doing. He's doing that as well too. It's not like the whole thing with MTV is just like the reality. It just it's all entertainment, which it is all entertainment. Right. You know, he's kind of bringing that what it was kind of before.
Well, this kind of connects with what we were talking about earlier, though, about like MCs trying to come up, like artists, like how much of a shelf life you have, what you're going to do with your fans once they get old enough to have kids. The longevity in this industry is behind the scenes.
For sure.
That's the long
exactly
term.
Correct.
You can be in front of the camera, but that has a shelf life.
You know what? That brings me to I think it's cool to. Hey, Eddie, our producer's here. Eddie, we could talk about the new stuff. Yeah. So there's certain artists who understand that, right? Like we have an artist. I'm sure you guys have heard of her, Bonnie Blue, who's part of Organized Threat. Yeah. We're looking to bring her on as a host on Crappy Awesome. Because one, we need a female so they can tell us that we're full of shit when we're talking about girls. Like we have to have a female voice at some point. But I also think
I've been trying to talk like this first. Doesn't seem to be working.
But I think that like artists like that and I think artists are kind of starting to wake up to like, oh, you know what? I can do more than just rap. In fact, Noah James talked about it. Like that was one of the best moments on any of our shows ever. Noah James talked about if you're just gonna be a rapper, then that's all you're ever gonna be. And there's a lot in that statement. That's a huge statement because he said you'll meet artists that are at the level that we're at right now, and they're like, I don't sell my own tickets. I don't personally sell my own CDs. You know what I mean? Like I can't really talk to my fans, whatever that means. But who does do that? Slug, Evidence. You're not doper than them. I know that. You're not more successful than them. 2Mex does that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like we said, even Reverie and Self-Provoke, they're constantly connecting with their fans. There's artists that kind of don't know that is not like an option. It's a necessity. If you don't do it, they won't stand by you. And when you need help, or your career's starting to falter, or it's getting tough for you to keep putting out free music all the time because nobody's buying your shit, it's going to be because of that. Because you're not connecting with your fans. You're rapping at them. You're not rapping for them.
All those ones that like any of the names we mentioned, even the 50 and all that stuff too, the common thread they have too is they are willing to take risks and certain things, but it's not like Arash talked about a little bit. It's not just being a rapper. It's being also like a businessman, like you said,
being an artist.
But behind the scenes, like people don't know that. Like for example, 50 when he bought a percentage of vitamin water.
Yeah.
He didn't know it was gonna blow up, but he put himself behind it. It blew up. He bought his share out or something like that. Got a lot of.
He invested.
Clocked a lot of money out of that. But just things like that, or whether it's real estate or stuff like that, they have to be wise with the decisions. They've not just do an MC Hammer story. And, you know what I mean?
No, for sure. It's like, what do you do if you're an introverted artist? If it's just not in your personality to be out there, to be so direct. The idea of going out and pushing your show feels like there's daggers being stabbed into your skin.
Yeah, well, I mean, we know some pretty talented artists that they're not as active as we all kind of feel like they should be, because either first of all, for some reason, every single one of these artists suffers from anxiety. All of them. We've talked about it every time they're on our shows. There's like a whole generation that seems to suffer from anxiety, or like they don't like big crowds, or they have these psychological things going on, right? Or they're just more conscious of those things in themselves than people from older generations, where they didn't even start thinking about, who am I? Like these younger cats are making music about who they are in every way, and not everybody's gonna think it's cool, and they don't give a fuck. Like they really don't give a fuck if you don't think what they're saying is cool. They're just go like, okay, well then it's for this person who does think that, and that's all. And I'm gonna just stay loyal to that person. That's it. And they don't care. So you're not doing anything to them by hating it. You're just wasting your own time, really. And that's never. I know that's always been true about haters, but that's never been more true than right now. Right now, you can go to events and on one bill see artists that make 5 different types of hip hop. You know what I mean? Like 5 different perspectives, and the kids are going nuts for them. So what are they doing wrong? Like, it doesn't seem like anything to me. I think in order to think that they're doing something wrong, you'd have to kind of make something up. Or you'd have to say, this is how things were when I did it. But that's not what time it is right now.
Yeah,
it's
for
just
sure.
not. And, but again, though, I think as a fan, because we're all fans first, that's why we're here. I think as a fan, we have to recognize that, look, if your favorite artist is searching for success so that they can get some money in their pocket to feed their families, or just, don't you want to live a better life? That's all they're doing. So when they get to those levels of success, you still have to support them like they were on the block with you. And yes, I do feel that those artists have a responsibility to remember the block. Remember that at least. Remember, acknowledge the fact and stand as an example of someone who came out of that.
Yeah, but
you can't cut that connection either.
If we go back though, what we were talking about is the artists who say like, I'm not gonna sell my own CD, or like they just can't bring themselves to do that. The question is, I'm sorry?
Stoops.
There you go. That works. No, but the question is though, like, what do they do? Like, you're right. They all have anxiety. Every one of these artists is suffering from that.
Oh yeah.
The ones that
it's
are
just
like,
not,
what are you
it's not
supposed to
for
do?
them.
Push through?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not for them. Unfortunately, there's
nobody
a
likes
lot
to
of
hear
talented
that.
people who, they can't get in front of a stage full of people, or they can't be seen, like maybe they have some weird psychological thing where they don't want to sell their own CDs and things like that.
They can do that. They can get on stage, but getting out there and selling their CDs,
it doesn't matter.
That makes them want to kill themselves.
Well, actually,
the example doesn't even matter.
What I was gonna say is that then you're separating 2 different things. There's the entertainment industry, which is the getting in front of stage part. That has to be together.
By the way, which
and
is
then
very
there's
expensive.
the money part. Then there's the part about the money. Like, what are you willing to do to better your career?
Yeah.
See I kind of get what you're saying too, because I'm like that in a way. Like, I know how to get money and hustle and talk, what I have to say in business meetings or whatever. Then I could be an artist or a host here on the show. But I kind of have a problem going up to people and selling myself. Like, I think what you do and should sell it for you. Like, I'm not one of those people. You should go listen to me.
Yeah.
You should go tune into my show because I'm good at doing it or whatever. I'm more like, you know what I'm saying? So I kind of, there's...
But are the days of quietly chipping away, are those days just over is what I'm saying? Because if you're not going out to reach your fans, guess what? There's a million people who are. And you can keep trucking away and doing what you're doing and hope that people find it and discover it.
Yeah. Well,
but that's just a roll of the dice.
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying. On the business side, see, I think I make sure, like, I'm just talking personally right now, but like, I make sure we're always everywhere. Our team's everywhere. We go different places. We do. So I'm kind of selling myself as part of the show, but I have a problem with going up to people and going, "Hey, I'm cool. You should listen to me," type of thing. Like
a random person.
It's a humility thing. I think. Like, I'm just humble. And I kind of get what you're saying. It's kind of hard. Like, I think you feel as an artist that once you perform on the stage, they should kind of get what you're doing. It's kind of hard to go out to a random fan that might have been at the bar at the time, missed your performance, and go, you should really listen to me because, and buy this CD from me. It's kind of like I don't know that.
I'm glad you described it that way because the reason I was asking is because I've been doing a lot of research on introversion versus extroversion lately. There's an epiphany that I had.
Which means
recently.
what?
I'm about to explain it right now.
For the
because he does this.
I know. This is something that I'm explaining. I've been doing research. Historically, people have always thought that introvert just means you're like shy. You're not really a people person. Extrovert means you're like super out there and you're not shy. It's more of a biological thing, and you're pretty much either born an introvert or an extrovert. Like, just, it's a scale. It's not black and white. But what that basically means is that you recharge more from alone time. That's introversion.
Yes.
Extroversion is with other people. Now, one of the major characteristics of being an introvert, biologically, means that, like Lady Gaga, for example, is an introvert. She's a famous one. She has no problem being in front of 5,000 people. I kind of feel the same way. But the idea of going up one-on-one to people is like makes her want to commit suicide. So we're literally like we're dealing with all these, like, look at all these artists we've had on the show. A lot of them have a lot of these issues where like they can get out and perform in front of 10,000 people that they just want somebody to put them on. But in order to be put on, you got to go out and do the meet and greets at McDonald's from 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. on Saturday night via Twitter. Hashtag.
You know what just dawned on me is I think to address that, what just dawned on me is that is something that I think that is a legitimate thing that the older cats have an issue with the younger cats about, because to make it to what they like, what are you defining as make it? As you're on MTV, cool?
That is a little too far. Let's say you're making $200 a year.
You're $200,000 a year.
Sure.
Okay, that's a lot. That's a lot. Okay, so
$83,000 a year.
Okay, nonetheless, for somebody who's like literally selling CDs in a park, to be making $83,000 a year, that's life changing. And for that person at that level, I guarantee you, they feel they're rich. Yeah. So I think the thing is, you need to define what you want to be, because there are paths already pre-designed for those things. If you're an artist who's like, you know what, I'm about my integrity. I'm never gonna wear a logo. I'm never gonna do all that stuff. That's cool. And every so often, maybe every 10, 15 years, we get one that will come out and blow up. Those are kind of the odds you're playing with. So if you're cool with that, cool. Respect to that, by the way. That's fucking dope. But if you're like, I need to get paid, there's only a few different ways you can go about doing that. And if you're a person who can't go out and do those things, then you better go another route and try to snag some money behind you.
Because, have a good
by
team.
the way, it cost $1 million, probably way more now, just to get national airplay. And that's not paying off DJs. That's just marketing.
Yeah.
That's how much it costs.
Yeah, no, I think Wackoe got it.
If you don't have that, you're not going to do that.
Wackoe just said it. You got to have a team.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, look how much it costs for a spot on the radio. You know what I'm saying? And you get only like, whatever, maybe 25 spots or some shit.
Yeah.
And shitty ass time slots. And you're playing like radio, like K-Day or something. Like, and you're paying like $600 for like fucking maybe 10 spots or something. Who knows? Right? Yeah. Because their packages are always. It actually depends on who you know in there, really.
Right.
It's actually, for instance, my buddy went to K-Day. He got for what was it? For 120,000 plays, 30-second commercials on Pandora for the same price for just like 150 spots on K-Day.
Huh.
Yeah.
And Pandora's reaching everybody because we're so cheap as fuck to pay $4 a month to kill the commercials. You're hearing those commercials.
Yeah.
And that's covering anything on the West Coast. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's hitting a lot of people for his specific
So
business.
you need to have that if that's what you want. Like, that's the bare minimum. So but again, like,
so you got to either get your ass out there, option 1. Option 2, have a good ass team. Option 3, have a bunch of money.
That's pretty much it. I mean, but we all know. We've all kind of know that.
The master plan is have a plan.
Yes.
Just have a plan.
Have a fucking plan.
Have some kind of plan.
You should know
Don't
what
just
the
go
end
out
of
there
this
and wing
looks
it.
like.
And then,
But if
your
you're out
mind.
there and you're honestly starting from the bottom, and you feel like you should already be at a status because of your skill, you don't have the experience to be at that level yet. What you need to do is you need to realize, hey, I'm on the bottom. It's like if I want to be a master chef, you know, when you're starting out, you got to wash some dishes, man. You got to chop some onions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then once you're there, be glad that you're there, but don't be a dick about it. You know, and that's how you continue that career, like your Jay-Z's.
Don't be a dick.
Stay relevant, pay your dues, and then
Don't be a dick.
No, don't be a
Stay
dick.
relevant, pay your dues, don't be a dick.
But I still think that to some point, luck still has a hand in it.
For sure.
Oh, yeah. There's always.
You know what? Let's talk
We're
about
in the right place, man.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think we talked about it with you. Is talk about timing, because right now we all know this. The people that are watching and the people that are levels above the scene that we're in right now, are starting to pay attention to this scene. And if people don't know, there are very major corporate moves being made that are looking at our scene. And if we don't protect our scene, and if we don't take care of our scene, and more importantly, if we don't maintain a scene, which means that we maintain a sense of community, like the beat swap meet. Those things have to keep happening, and they have to keep getting better. And the only way that can happen is if we all support it. If we don't do that, then yeah, man, corporate America is going to come in. Why not?
Once again,
because Self-Provoked has 1 million views. That's why, and you can sell a lot of fucking Coca-Cola on a video like that. I mean, you know what I mean?
The reality is, man, if someone has the money and can dangle it over someone's face and shit, they're going to be like, take the opportunity. You know what? I'd do the same damn thing too. But with that money that I'll get, this is just me though. If someone were to take, hey, you know what you have going, this and that, I'm going to give you this, but you know, we'll take this. It's like, fine, go ahead and do that. Go build something else.
Right.
And use that money. Now I have something I can take what I had before and take to a whole different level. Sure, go ahead and take it up because I already know what you can do it, and you're just gonna.
And you're not gonna do it better than I did it.
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and create this.
Just
whole
like going from a quarter piece to a rock. You know what I mean?
What? Whoa!
To a boulder.
Pause.
No, I'm just kidding. Hey,
Was that a drug
check
reference?
this out, man. we're gonna get into another video, and we'll be right back to sign it off. Go around the table one time, man. It's the B-Side Show. Act like you know, man.